The rain hit my skin like 1,000 tiny needles. I didn't run for shelter. I couldn't. The mud sucked at my sandals as I stood barefoot, clutching the old tin bucket I had used to fetch water from the well. My heart pounded like it wanted to escape my chest. Tonight, I couldn't pretend anymore. The secret I'd carried for years, the one I buried beneath smiles and polite refusals, it was clawing its way out. I pressed my hand to my stomach, feeling the emptiness that had been my lifelong companion. No life, no child, no proof that I had a place in the line of inheritance, of love, of hope. I imagined the villagers walking past my house, their whispers sharper than the wind that rattled the windows. I imagined Uche's face, his kindness, his laughter, the way he made my chest ache with a longing I could never let him see. What would he think if he knew? If he knew that I could never give him a child? Tears mixed with the rain. I let them fall. Not loudly. Quietly. Because grief isn't always a scream. Sometimes it's the silence between heartbeats. And in that silence, I made a choice. One that would shape everything I was about to live. I sit by the cracked window, listening to rain tapping against the tin roof. My hands tremble as I fold another shirt, smelling the faint dust and soap that cling to it. Even the smallest chores feel heavy tonight. People call me Agnes, the school teacher who smiles too much, the woman everyone says is lucky. They don't know luck has a different language. They don't know the emptiness inside me, the truth I've carried since my womb betrayed me. Years ago, I was told I could not bear children. The doctors spoke gently, as if their words could soften the blow. But the word doesn't soften. The village whispers, the hopeful glances of suitors, the pride in my mother's eyes, all became daggers. And I learned to hide. I smiled. I refused suitors. I laughed when neighbors teased me about love, while quietly burying my shame deeper each day. Tonight, as rain slips down the glass, I remember Uche, the trader who began visiting the school, laughing like life could be simple. He doesn't know. He cannot know. Yet even in hiding, the truth claws at my chest. Even in silence, it demands to be heard. Sometimes grief is quiet endurance, not loud cries. Hiding pain doesn't heal it, it only deepens the wound. How long can you protect yourself from love before fear becomes a prison? The next morning, the village smelled of wet earth and smoke from cooking fires. I was arranging books on my classroom shelf when I heard footsteps outside, heavy, deliberate. It was Uche. Again. His laughter floated through the doorway like sunlight I wasn't allowed to touch. I tried to ignore him, focusing on the math lessons I was supposed to prepare. But he called my name, soft and teasing, Agnes, you always hide too much from the world. I stiffened. My heart thumped against the ribs that felt like they might crack. I had spent years avoiding men, avoiding their expectations, avoiding the question I couldn't answer, will you marry me someday? Uche lingered longer than any trader should, asking questions about the children I taught. He praised my patience, my dedication. His eyes were gentle, searching. And every kind word, every smile, made the panic inside me swell. I smiled back. Carefully. Slowly. Enough to seem polite, not interested. Because if he ever saw the truth, my barrenness, my shame, I knew he would leave. And yet, a part of me, buried under fear, wanted him to stay. To see me. To know me. To risk loving me anyway. Sometimes the people we fear will reject us are the very ones who can love us unconditionally. Can you trust someone enough to let them see your deepest shame? Days passed, and Uche became a shadow I could not shake. He appeared at the market, at the school supply shop, even near my home. Each time, my stomach twisted into knots I pretended were from fatigue. I would smile politely, nod, and avert my eyes, hoping he wouldn't notice the tremor in my hands or the tightness in my chest. But he always noticed. Somehow, he always noticed. One afternoon, he lingered by the blackboard as I corrected papers. "Agnes," he said softly, leaning against the doorframe, "you work too hard. Why do you hide so much from people who care?" I froze. Every word cut into the wall I had built around my secret. My chest felt like it might split open, and I wanted to run. I wanted to tell him everything, but I couldn't. Not yet. The truth was a cage. My infertility had trapped me for years. I had buried hope, laughter, and even love to protect myself from disappointment. And now, this man, kind and persistent, was digging at the bars. I smiled. A careful, fleeting smile. I said nothing. And in the silence, I realized I was terrified, not of losing him, but of finally wanting to be found. Fear often hides the truth, but love demands courage. How long can we pretend before our hearts demand honesty? It was a bright morning when Uche appeared at my doorstep with a small bundle wrapped in faded cloth. My first instinct was to refuse. I couldn't let him inside. I couldn't let him see the careful order of my life or the shadow of my secret that lingered in every corner. "Please," he said gently, "just accept this. For your students." I hesitated, staring at him. Every kind word, every patient smile, made the panic in my chest rise. I wanted to push him away, to retreat behind the walls I had built for years. But something in his eyes stopped me. He didn't expect anything from me. He only wanted to help. I took the bundle, my fingers trembling. Inside were pencils, notebooks, and a small chalk box, simple gifts, but the thoughtfulness behind them was overwhelming. For a moment, I almost believed I could trust him. Almost. My mind screamed warnings: he doesn't know. He can't know. If he does, he will leave. And yet, I felt a strange warmth creeping in. A feeling I had denied myself for too long: hope. Acts of genuine kindness can crack even the hardest walls of fear. Can you accept love when it challenges the walls you've built around your heart? That evening, I walked home slowly, the bundle of school supplies clutched to my chest. The village paths were empty, wet from a sudden drizzle. My heart raced, not from the rain, but from knowing Uche might follow. I didn't want him to see me vulnerable. I didn't want him to see the walls I had spent years building around my secret. Yet, somehow, I hoped he would. Halfway home, I heard footsteps behind me. My pulse skipped. I dared not turn. The figure slowed to match my pace. "Agnes," he said softly, catching up, "I just wanted to make sure you got home safely." I stopped, clutching the bundle tighter. My mind screamed at me to run, to hide. But I couldn't. His calm, steady presence was disarming. I wanted to tell him everything: the doctors, the test, the years of pain and fear, but the words lodged in my throat. Instead, I nodded, whispered a faint thank you, and hurried inside. Closing the door, I leaned against it, shivering from more than the cold. The truth remained locked inside me, but Uche's kindness had begun chipping at the walls. Sometimes love doesn't demand answers, it simply asks you to be seen. Can you let someone see your pain without fearing judgment? A week later, Uche appeared at the school again, leaning casually against the gate, a smile tugging at his lips. He carried a small basket of fruits, fresh from the market. My chest tightened the moment I saw him. "Good morning, Agnes," he said warmly. "I thought your students might like a treat today." I forced a polite smile, nodding. Inside, panic fluttered like trapped birds. Each kind gesture, each casual conversation, reminded me of the one truth I could never confess. And then it happened. He asked a question I had been dreading for years. "Agnes, do you plan to marry someday?" I froze. The words were simple, almost casual, but my word tilted. My mouth opened, and nothing came out. My secret, the one I had guarded for so long, tightened its grip around my chest. I don't know, I whispered, the light tasting bitter. Uche's smile faltered just slightly, but he didn't press. Instead, he nodded, gently turning the conversation back to the students. I wanted to scream, to tell him everything, yet fear held me hostage. That evening, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, wondering if I would ever find the courage to let him see the truth. Avoiding difficult truths can protect you temporarily, but it also keeps you from real connection. How long can love survive when your heart is hiding its deeper secret? The afternoon sun slanted through the cracked windows of my classroom, painting golden stripes across the dusty floor. I should have been grading papers, but my thoughts were elsewhere, tangled in fear and longing. Uche appeared at the gate again, carrying a small bundle of freshly baked bread. My chest tightened at the sight of him. Every time he came, every gentle word, every patient smile, felt like a rope pulling me closer to a truth I wasn't ready to reveal. He approached cautiously. "Agnes, would you like to have some bread with me? Just outside, for a little break." I wanted to refuse. I wanted to retreat into the safety of silence. Yet something inside me trembled, a desperate, quiet part that wanted to be seen. For a moment, I imagined telling him everything. My doctor's words, the years of hidden hope, the emptiness I carried inside. But fear gripped my throat. I nodded silently and walked beside him to a shaded corner of the schoolyard, the bread untouched. We talked about simple things, the children, the weather, the small joys of life, and yet, I felt my heart unspooling, fragile and exposed. That day, I almost let him in. Almost. True connection begins when you risk being seen, even if fear tempts you to hide. How long can you guard your heart before someone's patience earns a place inside it? The next morning, I found Uche waiting by the school gate, humming softly as he arranged a small bouquet of wildflowers he had picked along the roadside. My heart thudded painfully. He looked up, catching my gaze, and smiled. "Good morning, Agnes. I thought this might brighten your classroom." I wanted to turn away, to retreat into my safe, orderly life, but something inside me wavered. His patience, his kindness, was eroding the walls I had spent years building around my shame. I remembered nights alone, staring at the ceiling, replaying the doctor's words, "You cannot have children." The words had buried me under fear, humiliation, and despair. I had convinced myself that love was impossible, that Uche, or anyone, could never accept the truth. Yet here he was, offering simple acts of care, unknowingly tugging at the fragile hope I had buried. For a fleeting moment, I almost confessed. Almost whispered the truth, that I had no children, that I feared being unloved, that my womb had betrayed me. But fear tightened its grip. I smiled, thanked him, and hid behind polite conversation. That day, the truth nearly escaped me. And I realized the hardest part wasn't keeping it from him, it was keeping it from myself. The longest battles are often with ourselves. Hiding our truths can feel safe, but it also locks away hope. How long can you resist revealing your true self before the heart aches for release? It was late afternoon when Uche appeared again, carrying a small basket of fruits and fresh bread. The scent of baked dough made my stomach tighten. I told myself it was ridiculous to be anxious, yet my heart raced anyway. "Agnes," he called softly, "I thought the children might enjoy a snack before the sun sets." I wanted to refuse. I wanted to hide behind my careful composure. But something in the way he smiled, the gentle patience in his eyes, made my defenses tremble. I thought of all the men I had pushed away over the years, all the laughter and proposals I had rebuffed. My infertility had been my secret, my shield, my reason to stay apart. And now, here was a man, persistent and kind, breaking through those walls. We walked together to the school courtyard. The children gathered, eager for the treat. I handed them the bread, but my fingers shook. Uche caught my eye and said nothing, only smiled warmly, silently offering understanding. For the first time, I wondered, could someone love me if they knew the truth? That day, my walls trembled. My secret felt heavier than ever, yet the hope of being seen without judgment flickered, fragile and terrifying. Love often tests the strongest walls we build around ourselves. The courage to be seen is the first step toward healing. What would happen if you let someone see your deepest fear? That night, I sat alone on the veranda, the moonlight spilling across the dusty floor. The village was quiet, except for the distant sound of a dog barking and the whisper of wind through palm leaves. My hands fidgeted with a worn notebook, but I wasn't thinking about lessons or numbers. I was thinking about Uche. He visited again today, offering his gentle presence, his patience, his unwavering kindness. Every small act, the bread, the fruits, the flowers, had begun to chip at my defenses. I wanted to tell him everything. I wanted to finally breathe. But fear clenched my throat. What if he left? What if he laughed or pitied me? What if the truth, that my womb had betrayed me, that I could not bear a child, ruined the fragile bond we had begun to build? I closed my eyes, feeling the weight of years pressing down. The silence of the night seemed to mock me, urging me to confess and tremble, yet my courage faltered. I almost spoke. I almost let the secret slip, but I swallowed the words and whispered to myself, not yet. Not yet. That night, I realized that hiding the truth was no longer just about shame, it was about survival. Facing your deepest fear requires courage, but timing and trust are also part of the journey. How do you know when it's safe to reveal your hidden truth? It happened during the weekly market. I was arranging my store, selling school supplies and snacks, when I noticed Uche weaving through the crowd toward me. His smile was warm, familiar, but my chest tightened. "Good morning, Agnes," he said softly, holding a small bag of gifts for the children. "I thought this might brighten your week." I forced a polite smile, keeping my hand steady, but my mind raced. The secret I had carried all my life was a shadow over every interaction, every heartbeat. What if he found out now, here, among the crowd? He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "You've been distant lately, is something troubling you?" Panic flared. My lips parted, almost confessing, but fear slammed the words back down. I shook my head, muttering a half-lie. My eyes avoided his, darting to the crowd, the children, anyone but him. He didn't push. Instead, he nodded, accepting my silence. But I saw it, the flicker of concern, the patient persistence. That night, I lay awake, heart pounding. Hiding the truth had become unbearable. Uche's kindness made my fear of exposure almost unbearable, yet a small spark whispered that maybe, just maybe, he could love me anyway. The closer someone draws to your heart, the harder it is to hide your truth. Courage grows in those moments of tension. Can love survive the secrets we fear will break it? I woke to the shrill call of the village rooster, heart pounding like a drum in my chest. Today, something felt different. The air was thick, humid, and the scent of damp earth mixed with my own unease. Uche had promised to visit early, as he always did, but when I peeked outside, there was no sign of him. Panic clawed at my chest. What if he never comes back? I muttered under my breath, my hands trembling. I decided to walk to the market, hoping to see him there. But the village seemed strange, eyes darted at me, whispers followed. I felt washed. A stench hit me as I approached my home, sour and unmistakable. My heart sank. Pushing the door open, I froze. Uche was there, kneeling beside a small wooden stool, holding a bowl of herbal medicine. "Agnes," he said softly, "I came as soon as I heard you were unwell." I felt tears prick my eyes. The smell, the fear, my secret, he had walked right into it. Yet he didn't flinch, didn't recoil. He only looked at me with unwavering care. For the first time, I realized that truth, once faced, could bring healing instead of shame. Facing the truth with someone who truly cares can transform fear into comfort. Could someone's patience be the bridge to healing your deepest fear? That evening, I sat on the worn wooden chair by the window, the soft glow of oil lamps casting shadows across my small room. Uche sat beside me, his presence steady, patient. I felt exposed, yet strangely safe. I've kept something from you, I whispered, my fingers fidgeting with the hem of my dress. The words felt heavy, yet liberating. He leaned closer. You can tell me, Agnes. I'll listen. No judgment, no rush. Tears welled in my eyes as I spoke, trembling. I told him everything, the years of trying and failing, the endless doctor visits, the nights I cried silently in the dark. The secret I had carried for so long spilled out in shaky breaths. Uche listened quietly, never interrupting, never flinching. When I finished, he took my hand, warmth radiating through me. Agnes, he said softly, this doesn't change how I feel. We will face it together. For the first time, I felt relief, a weight lifted. My shame still lingered, but love wrapped around it like a protective cloak. That night, I realized the truth could be shared without fear, and that someone's unwavering care could heal even the deepest wounds. True love sees beyond our flaws and carries us through our deepest fears. Could you trust someone enough to show them your hidden pain? The next morning, Uche arrived early with a wheelbarrow of clay and timber. I watched him from the doorway, heart fluttering. He didn't just bring materials, he brought hope. We'll start small, he said, smiling. Just enough to make your home more comfortable. I hesitated. Fear of exposure still lingered. What if the neighbors saw us together? What if they whispered about my secret? But I couldn't deny the spark of relief that followed his words. We worked side by side, lifting, shaping, and constructing. The rhythm of labor gave me courage, each brick a symbol of rebuilding my life. For the first time in years, I felt capable, seen, and accepted. Uche laughed at my clumsy handling of the timber, and I laughed too, something rare and light in my chest. The sound surprised me. I realized how long it had been since I had felt joy untainted by fear. By dusk, the small structure took shape, a safe space for us. I looked at Uche, gratitude swelling inside me. For the first time, I understood that love and trust could be built, brick by brick, alongside hope and patience. Healing and love grow stronger when nurtured through shared effort and patience. Could you let someone help you rebuild the parts of life fear had broken? It wasn't long before the villagers began to notice changes at my home. The small structure we had built together drew curious glances, whispered questions. I felt the weight of judgment before a word was even spoken. One morning, as I walked to the market, I overheard women murmuring, "She's with that man, but what is wrong with her? Why has she never had children?" My cheeks burned, and I wanted to vanish into the earth. Uche noticed my silence and the tension in my shoulders. "Agnes, do you want to go home?" he asked gently. I shook my head, forcing a smile. He squeezed my hand. "Let them talk. Their words cannot define you. We know the truth, and that is what matters." For the first time, I realized that courage wasn't just about confessing my secret to Uche, it was also about facing the world without shame. His faith in me became a shield against the whispers. That evening, we sat together on the veranda, watching the sun dip below the horizon. The world could judge, mock, or misunderstand, but in our home, love and understanding reigned. True love and trust can shield you from the harsh judgments of the world. Could you stand strong with someone who sees your worth beyond what others say? The morning sun poured into our small courtyard, scattering golden light across the freshly built walls. I stood beside Uche, holding a small basket of flowers we had picked together. The air smelled of earth and hope. We walked quietly, arranging herbs and decorations, a simple ritual that made our house feel like home. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like a prisoner of my own secret. Uche's unwavering care had softened the fear that had ruled me. As we paused to rest, he looked at me, eyes calm and patient. "Agnes, you are not broken. You are beautiful, capable, and loved exactly as you are." I felt tears slip silently down my cheeks, not of shame, but of relief. Years of hiding, of fearing judgment, of believing that my infertility would define me, seemed to dissolve in his presence. We laughed together, shared quiet moments, and for the first time, I felt whole. The whispers of the village no longer mattered. The secret that had once haunted me had become a bridge, not a barrier, to love, trust, and healing. Acceptance and love can transform the deepest shame into strength and wholeness. Could embracing your truth be the key to finally feeling whole? It was early morning when I stepped outside, the air crisp and fragrant with dew. The village was stirring, but I felt no fear. For the first time in my life, I walked freely, my secret no longer a shadow but a quiet companion. Uche joined me, carrying a small bundle of cloth and herbs, smiling. "Shall we finish the garden today?" he asked. His presence was steady, unwavering, a reminder that love does not falter in the face of truth. I thought back to the years of hiding, the fear of judgment, the sleepless nights weighed down by my infertility. And now, here I was, not running, not hiding, but standing in sunlight, accepted fully, loved completely. We walked side by side, planting flowers, tending herbs, our laughter mingling with birdsong. The whispers of the village had faded into insignificance. My secret, once a source of shame, had become a testament to courage, patience, and unconditional love. That day, I realized truth brings freedom, and love that endures knows no bounds. My heart, once heavy with fear, was finally light. Courage to reveal your truth, combined with unwavering love, can heal wounds you thought would last forever. Could facing your deepest fear open the door to the life and love you've been longing for? After years of fear, shame, and secrecy, Agnes finally embraced the truth of her infertility and found love and acceptance in Uche's unwavering care. The walls she built around her heart slowly crumbled as patience, trust, and compassion healed wounds she thought would last forever. Their shared efforts, laughter, and quiet moments transformed her life, proving that vulnerability can lead to profound connection. The whispers of judgment no longer held power, because love that sees beyond flaws is stronger than fear. In the end, truth became freedom, and healing followed where courage dared to tread. Courage to reveal your deepest fears, combined with unconditional love and patience, can transform shame into healing and connection. True acceptance begins when we let someone see our authentic selves. Could you trust someone enough to share your hidden pain and allow love to heal it? The end. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the story, give us a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. Hit the notification bell to stay updated. And check out our playlist for more.